How can you unleash your business potential through the power of collaborative working? Now, collaborative nature is essential to build any sustainable business. Capitalism often gets a bad rap in the press. Business people are portrayed as self-centered, as egotistical, and almost slavishly focused on profit and self-gain. But if you stop to think about it, this is not what makes the capitalist system work. Sure, some companies run by sociopaths may succeed in the short term by being entirely selfish, but for the most part, businesses thrive through cooperation. Now, if you think about the interconnectedness of our modern economy, it could not be any other way. Just pause to think about the other companies that your business relies on every day. Your accountants, your power company, your IT providers, your hardware supply, your software vendors, the utility companies, and on and on and on. Then all of those companies that you rely on will be nested in a similar web of reliance. It's really complex, and running it all, allocating the resources where they're needed, is the capitalist market system. We like to think of these interconnected businesses as cogs in a mighty machine that we call civilization. It's often said that exploitation is the main feature of the capitalist system. This is false in our opinion. Our modern economy is actually the single most cooperative and collaborative system ever devised. It's this cooperative nature that is the defining feature of the system, with exploitation being a flaw or a bug rather than a defining feature. Cooperation is what makes businesses succeed, not exploitation. It's by working together that we build long-term success. However, there is a spanner in the works of this system. A lot of the bad rap that capitalism gets is because of a flaw in one segment of the system, namely large publicly owned companies. Now, there's a well-established problem here where the people that run these companies are not the same as the people that own them. This means the long-term health of the company is often trumped by the short-term demands of investors or the short-term rewards of those who are running them. They become slaves to the quarterly results and bonuses. Although not intentionally so, this system for large public companies seems set up not only to encourage short-termism, but to actually necessitate it. Company directors that do take the bold decision to take a longer-term approach will often be quickly replaced by the shareholders, keen for a quick return. The system itself often replaces anyone who does attend to the long-term needs of the business. All of this obviously disincentivizes long-term collaboration. Now, this problem is exaggerated by the fact that top execs can often exit a company that's failing due to this short-term approach, and they can often exit it before it goes wrong. Once they see the writing on the wall, they then move on to the next corporate gig, and this will be way before the public are even aware there's any writing to see. The fallout from the short-term, non-collaborative approach is left some other sap to have on their CV. Many execs with supposedly great CVs have incredibly lucrative careers doing just this for their entire career. In contrast, most privately owned companies are owned by the people that run them. The personal and financial rewards for the directors of most SMEs are very much tied to the long-term health of the business. As such, the problems of short-termism outlined above are not so present, and this represents the vast majority of the capitalist system. This means that a long-term collaborative approach makes not only good business sense, but is also aligned with the personal goals of the people running the business. Now, this is not to say that short-termism and non-collaborative practices don't go on in private businesses. There are certainly many examples of that, but at least the system itself is not generating perverse incentives towards short-termism. This alignment of objectives would seem to give SMEs a competitive advantage, and indeed this is borne out in the business literature. A genuinely collaborative nature is especially important in businesses that are adopting modern self-managing teams. Self-management seems to be the way forward in a rapidly changing world. It seems to be the most appropriate way to cope. As such, the collaborative working required for such management will confer a competitive advantage. Now, if we try and eliminate hierarchies as much as possible so that teams need to sort out how they want to run things without running it past the boss, then the need for a collaborative mindset is absolutely vital. In such companies, virtual teams will form around different projects and initiatives, and these may include people from across the business, different departments, and there will often be no official team leader. This is a very flexible and agile way of working that unleashes a tremendous amount of creativity. But without the traditional hierarchy, without the command and control system, we need everyone to be genuinely collaborative. Now, this attitude and way of working internally within a business also helps forge strong external relationships with both suppliers and customers. Not only does this self-managing style lead to better and quicker decisions, It's also more naturally inclusive of other stakeholders, like customers and suppliers. Indeed, virtual teams for various projects may well include people from outside the business, from customers, suppliers, or other places. This then leads to closer, more stable and sustainable business relationships. Collaboration always wins over selfishness in the long run. So, how do we go about fostering this collaborative nature? Well, here's 3 ideas. Number 1, form the virtual teams, adopt the virtual team method of working. So by encouraging people to self-organize into virtual teams, this kind of forces people to work in that collaborative nature and forces them to practice it. Virtual teams will form around specific projects or functions, for example, product development, and may draw upon different people from across the company who may have different day-to-day line managers. These cross-functional teams naturally foster collaborative working, but the real magic happens if they're allowed to self-organize and self-manage without a boss or team leader in charge. Working in this way really allows everyone to practice the art of collaboration and become masters at it. Second idea is to develop self-awareness, encouraging people to be self-aware and to think about their team strengths and their personal strengths and weaknesses. People development programs should be more than about just skills training. If part of PDPs deal with developing self-awareness and understanding of how different people interpret the world in very different ways, then this helps people be collaborative. Understanding oneself and others is a key component in any relationship. And the third idea is to actually teach conflict management. Helping people develop conflict management techniques to facilitate better team working is a great idea. When conflict occurs, which it will, it's inevitable, equip people with the self-development tools to handle them in a productive way. Conflict and debate are actually a vital part of the creative process, if handled well. It's not about removing conflict, it's about having good conflict rather than toxic conflict or drama. And this is a skill that can be taught. This was a video in our series on unleashing business potential through people power. We hope you found it useful. Please feel free to share it with anyone you like, or better still, let us know what you think with a comment. If you want to know more about how our third-party logistics service can help you unleash your business potential by taking away all the hassles of logistics, then please do give us a call about that as well.